California proposes a new math framework for the public schools, one that will no longer, listen to this, take into account gifts and talents. In other words, math class geared for the math challenged at the expense of the capable doing real math. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and all of this just doesn't add up. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today, we start in California, where the Department of Education is considering a new math framework that would discourage talented students from being placed in advanced math classes as a way of combating inequity. Is this not the dumbest thing you have ever heard? Quite literally, what California is proposing is cultural math. Look, we're not going to take, literally the document says, we are not going to take gifts and talents into consideration. So if you're somebody who's good at math, you're talented in math, it's one of your gifts that you can sit down and do math, and you were doing math in your head when you were in second grade. You were a whiz at math. That's not a blessing. That's inequity. You are not blessed. You are not lucky. You are not, you don't owe the world a serious career in math to pay back those gifts. No, you're just contributing to bigotry in the world. So what we're going to do to fix your talent in math is not let you take advanced classes. We're going to get everybody in the same class. Everybody, I actually heard this phrase from a left-wing activist the other day. Every kid every kid should be in the same math class as every other kid every grade year. No kid has the right to jump ahead. That's elitism. No kid should be allowed to fail because that's elitism. According to the progressive left, every kid should be in the same class with every other kid of his age all through graduation. No one falling behind, no one getting ahead. Kids who can do much higher, chained to their peers. Those who fail, socially promoted. That's what is entitled. Kids are entitled to that under the name of social justice. Education and opportunity and hard work and achievement be damned.
Yes, but then what is the definition of progressive?
Progressive is when you're 12, all 12-year-olds are in this class. Mm-hmm. All 13-year-olds. Age is the whole measure. What grade or what age are you? All 13-year-olds are in this 8th grade class.
But that's math too, and that's not a good thing.
Well, I mean, I would like to think that even the ungifted mathematical can count from 1 to 15.
But 365 days, that's just, I mean, remember, math is racist,
yes.
So you can't put numbers to things because that's racist.
Well,
adding
they would say grades, not grades, but aren't grades? Grades are a grade is a hierarchy, right?
That is a hierarchy as well.
But notice what they want to do. They want to fix the hieratic nature of the hierarchy by making everybody the only requirement to get through 8th grade is having been 13 to 14. Everybody who gets through. No, and if you're a 13-year-old with a 2nd grade reading level, you're still getting your 13th grade diploma, right?
Well, yeah, but we've also been told that age is just a number, so numbers are just racist. So then, in numbers and ages don't mean anything when it comes always to love, because it doesn't matter how old you are.
That's right.
So I'm so confused by it.
It's selective application, right? Exactly. When it comes to I also heard this weekend, which is an obvious thing that I think we've all both said before, that when it comes to treating we treat children like adults when it comes to sex and violence.
Yep.
Everything except when it comes to criminal behavior.
Yep.
So we put kids in a position to get afoul of the law, whether experimenting with drugs or sex, and yet we treat them like they're adults able to make their own make their own decisions, and yet when they run afoul of the law, then we have to treat them like unaccountable children.
Makes perfect sense
it sure
to
does.
Someone.
Well, if what you want is a socialist future, it makes perfect sense.
Now, we've been talking about things like this with gifted and talented programs in general. New York City canceled it out. Virginia canceled it out. Now, all of California wants anyone who has any natural gifts and talents, and this obviously is geared specifically toward math, but they just want to cancel anyone out who may be at all different or have the ability to be different. And so in this guide, this 13-part guide, and it tells teachers that mathematics has traditionally been viewed as a neutral discipline. Now, this expanded view of math asks teachers to analyze lessons through an equity lens. And just in the very first chapter of this framework, it reads, a fundamental aim of this framework is to respond to issues of inequity in mathematics learning. Equity influences all aspects of this document.
And I know we get repetitive, but equality and equity are not the same thing.
No, they are not.
Equality means that every kid does the best he can at math. The really successful ones move ahead. The ones who don't get remediation. That's equal, right? Mm-hmm. That's bad now. Equity means everybody does math at the same level or nobody does it at all.
And the best way to describe this is equality is everyone starts the race
at the same line and has the same path to run. Yep.
Right? But equity means everyone finishes the race holding hands and singing Kumbaya.
Outcome-based education, or AKA socialist dialectics.
So, yes. The second chapter, going back to our lovely 13-part framework, promotes that instruction that challenges the deeply entrenched policies and practices that lead to inequitable outcomes.
Yep.
Now,
so none of this has anything to do with math.
No, of course not. All you have to do is stop and say, if you start treating every kid with math all the same, now if they would have done that hundreds of years ago, how would we have gotten to X? And you can insert anything you want.
X to the left is always our current racist society.
That is a very good point. But, and this is starting, you can start it, or see it very much so start to crumble. The math people currently in the world are the people who use STEM, like the Bill Gates of the world, or even Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they're attacking. The left loves Bill Gates until maybe now. They had actually liked Elon Musk until recently. So all of their basically platitudes and love for these people starts to crumble once anyone starts to use common sense.
What's very interesting is now that you mentioned Bill Gates, today for the first time, there's a story out there that suggests that Epstein actually provided Bill Gates an alternative to his stale marriage. That was the title, right? So if Bill Gates has been seeing underage kids on Epstein Isle, well, that's a whole. I can't wait till what's her name? Who's Rose McGrath? Who's the?
Oh, Rose McGowan.
I can't wait to see what Rose McGowan tweets about Bill Gates.
And you think, okay, we're going off on a tangent here, but this all aligns into exactly what they're talking about because it all comes full circle for them, which is mathematical.
Okay, Jen Psaki.
I'm going to have to circle back on that. Jen Psaki at my job.
She really does make red gingers look like
Jen Psaki at her
ginger
job.
is the new blonde when you're dealing with Jen.
It's real bad. Her name should be Karen. But that's off on a tangent. Back to this. All of it makes no sense, so it makes perfect sense. And that's exactly what the progressive left does because they have no actual logical foundation. So what they do, everything contradicts the other points they're trying to make.
Well said. And the end game for the left is socialism, and it makes sense because in socialist countries, everything is equity based.
Yeah,
it's not about opportunity. It's not about level playing fields. It's about outcomes, right?
Which is interesting. It's kind of like they're putting what do they call that? A glass ceiling on people. But I thought you're supposed to burst through the glass ceiling. But
the glass ceiling's only bad when it's placed on women or minorities, right?
Yeah.
Socialism is not breaking glass ceilings that's what you may not like this, but that's what free market capital has done from century to century. It has broken glass ceilings. It has made more and more opportunity for more and more people every 10 years. Socialism comes along and says, no, that's not fair because some don't rise as fast. So let's glass ceiling everybody, and then over the glass, let's put petrified forests so the glass never breaks, no one gets ahead. And because no one gets ahead, everybody is even and equitable in the most pathetic sense.
We have yet another shocked moment here on the Dr. Duke Show. I am shocked that the San Francisco Unified School District is being accused of blatant money grab after concocting a plan to have high school students briefly return to in-person school in order to nab millions in state reopening funds. San Francisco, Nancy territory. I can't believe it, but San Francisco is doing something that is not good for students, but just good for their self-serving purposes. It's my shock face.
I left my Glock in San Fran. See, now Twitter's going to suspend us. Violence.
There you go. The
Violence.
The teachers union in San Francisco said that high school seniors, just 12th graders, high school seniors, could return to school for like the last month of school. We're saying maybe, okay, senior, come back. Well, why would they do that? Union President Susan Solomon said this allows seniors to spend time with their friends and their teachers before, they graduate and go out into the real world.
Is there any mention of education in the...
Not yet.
We're going to send the kids back for a month, and even here they can't mention education.
You just wait. She said UESF brought the initial proposal to the SFUSD, so San Francisco School District, so that our current graduating seniors would have the opportunity to spend some time in person on campus with teachers and their peers during the last few weeks of high school as they say goodbye to classmates and prepare for graduation in the next chapter of their lives.
Did you hear education in there?
No.
Didn't either.
So, but here's the deal. Here's the, I guess, down and dirty, hard truth. Return is actually only for one day. They lied. One day. And they're not even going to be in their classrooms with their teachers. Instead, here's what is going to happen. We're going to be at one of two sites in all of San Francisco, and we're not going to teach you anything. We're going to have, quote, in-person supervision.
So for one day,
yeah.
all the seniors in the San Francisco district will go to one of two sites.
Yes.
And there's got to be a money-making reason for this.
Well, this is the money. This is the blatant money grab. So here's what's going to happen. Each cohort of students would have 2 teachers or staff supervising them on their campus, and activities might include end of high school conversations or college and career exploration. Yeah, that's what the district is actually calling this stuff. And so they're not going to be at their own school. Again, let's reiterate that this is one of two. It's only seniors returning for one day without their teachers.
What's the bright idea behind this?
I'm building up here.
Yes,
building
you are.
up.
You've got me so on the edge of my seat.
He's not on the edge of his seat. He's
Actually,
lying.
I kind of am.
Okay, well, so they're offering this out to the seniors, and there's like 4,000 seniors out there. Let's see how many of them return. And so by doing this, then the city's public schools are qualified for $12 million in state reopening funds. All for bringing back...
So to go through the motions of opening rather than opening, you get $12 million.
And they're actually... Like, the fact that they're saying we're reopening the schools, and they had originally said in person for, the last month, and that it's for this... They're even blanket lying within the blanket lie to get the blanket lie for the money. Like, how many layers
and
of this
isn't it ironic that the $12 million is supposed to be because you were willing to bring kids back and re-educate them? And what is never mentioned here? Education.
Now, California law requires school districts to reopen in-person instruction for elementary students in at least one entire middle or high school grade. So that's why they're going, okay, let's just have the seniors and we can play it off as like, ooh, reunification and say goodbye to your friends. Because if it was like the sophomores or the freshmen, they might actually think they need to teach them something. They'd have to put another ruse on top of it. So the deadline to qualify for the funds was just here the middle of May. And one day, that happened to be one day after San Francisco decided to do this in person. It was what a coincidence.
The other irony
that the deadline met up with when they decided to do it.
This is the thing, isn't it crazy?
What a coincidence.
And so you cannot, in more ways, slap in the face of the American people. And yet, because this is the Joe Biden administration, guess what? It works. It's going to work.
Well, and it's Nancy country.
It's
because you San Franciscans keep putting her in office. That old bag.
$12 million that clearly will not help a single kid in school right now. It will aggrandize teachers and unions and everything else but.
And I would just like to give a fun fact before we end this segment that since the 20,000 students and staff who returned in April, the ones who did, there have been only 20 positive COVID cases in all of San Francisco schools. 20 out of 20,000. So that's 0.1%, and 0 of them have been originating in said schools. So, there's your math. Well, it wouldn't be a good day if we didn't hear about the Young Democratic Socialists of America. The Democratic Socialists of America, well, these are the young ones. Even though AOC you would think is a young one, she's what these young Democratic Socialists of America aspire to be. So they have a chapter at the UC Santa Barbara campus, and they're demanding that the school pay all students, every last one of them, $900. Yep, we're saying that we need $900 for each of us from the federal COVID-19 relief funds. And, they're making change happen by chalking about it with like chalk on a sidewalk. Let's chalk and take action.
How easy it would be to turn that word to choking.
Exactly. Well, there are about 40 students, will give or take, and community organizers, the AOCs of the world. They gathered at the chancellor's residence. His name is Henry Yang. And they gave speeches. They chalked.
But they're asking the chancellor
Yes.
to pay them for their work during COVID by saying, quote, "Eat my Yang."
Yeah.
That's despite. Now again, I can get in trouble for not being nice to these students. They can demand $900 and tell the chancellor to eat their, and nothing happens.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Now, the university got more than $60 million from between last year and this year for COVID relief. And of that 60, 26 million went directly to the students. So that's why the students are saying, well, we want more. Give us $900 each. And but not every student got the money. According to the socialist group's secretary, Patrick Fairbanks, he said, "We think that the students know what's best for them with money in their own pocket. They know what they need, and the school doesn't. And the school has proven that they are failing in their leadership." I believe that's probably true that they're failing in their leadership, but you, Mr. Fairbanks, are failing just as a human being. The night before this so-called march that they had all the way down to the chancellor's house, the university had told the group that the remaining COVID money was needed to balance the budget. So even the young socialists, Democratic Socialists of America understand that the university is screwing them. But now they just want all that money in their own pockets instead of just not going to the university at all and keeping the money to begin with. I don't understand
in other words,
any of these
the
people.
university got money for COVID. They want their cut. It's a shakedown.
They want more.
It's a shakedown from the I will say this: the young Democrats at which school is
Socialists
this?
of America, Santa Barbara.
Young socialist Democrats. They've learned a lot, not from their university, but from Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson about how to shake down stupid white colleges.
And we have a student named Asha Bosworth Ahmed, who's a first-year environmental studies
there you
major.
go.
But she went to the march, but she did say $900 can go a long way for a lot of different people. It kind of feels like, as students, we're just the university's income. Yeah, duh. With $900 back to students, they can kind of break that really weird transactional relationship they have with us. I think it will mean a lot to students symbolically, and it will mean a lot on a literal level
Really?
as
You call
well.
it a transactional relationship that they charge you a fee to educate you?
It's really weird,
How
she
weird.
said, though.
In what
It
kind
is
of
weird.
world do you have to pay for what you get?
Except they're paying to
Democrats.
socialist Democrats.
Well, is there a difference? Socialist Democrats. What's the difference?
Group name?
Isn't that a bit of a tautology? Instant classics, real education, the words and the life of H.L. Menken. Mike, just let's get to him. This is a guy who is an agitator and a brave defier of convention. Let's see what H.L. Menken has for us today. Every normal man must be tempted at times to spit on his hands, hoist the black flag, and begin slitting throats. And I love this. Every normal man, decent, hardworking guy, every now and then, given the corruption of government, is willing to go full pirate. Fly the Jolly Roger and just steal back from these punks what the government has taken from you. And how about this one? The aim of public education, this is a biggie. The aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. It is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to put down dissent and originality. That is the aim in the United States, whatever the pretensions of politicians, pedagogues, and other such mountebanks, and that is the aim everywhere else. 50, 70, 80 years before Common Core, before the social democratizing of our schools, the purpose of education. This is it literally is a definition of Common Core. To drive students as individuals to the same low level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, and to put down originality, individuality, originality. That is the aim in the United States, whatever the politicians say, and that is the aim of collective organization and education everywhere. We'll give you one more. The men the American people admire most extravagantly are the most daring liars. The men they detest the most violently are those who try to tell them the truth. What is it about Americans that we fall in love with liars, and yet anyone who tries to tell us the truth, they're the ones that we can't stand? I guess we just like to be lied to.
All right, those are the stories for the day. If you have a question for us, please feel free to drop it in the mailbag by emailing askduke@fpeusa.org. And if you enjoy our content, please consider joining our Patriot Club. Your one-time $99 tax-deductible donation allows Duke and myself to keep bringing you the stories every day. Simply visit patriotclub.us to get signed up. And obviously, when you go to patriotclub.us and you sign up, we're going to give you a signature tumbler as just a little thank you.
And that's going to do it for this show. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay educated.